coming and welcome to the Semitic Museum. My name is Adam Aja. I'm the assistant curator here. Before we talk about the various internship and docent opportunities at the museum, I'd like to talk to you about the Houses of Ancient Israel exhibit. This exhibit is largely based upon the work of Philip King and Lawrence Steger. It features a full Iron Age house built of mud bricks, and also objects used in daily life. The museum's recent acquisitions is the main body of artifacts from the archaeological excavations at Tel Balad. This is the biblical site of Shechem. It features artifacts from daily life, much like the Houses of Ancient Israel exhibit. One of our recent interns, Robin Grossman, was here cataloging and inventorying all the objects when they first arrived at the museum. I'm going to let Robin tell you a little bit about the site and her work here.
Shechem was a city located about 40 miles north of Jerusalem and is now just a large mound next to the town of Balata. This type of mound is known as a tell and is formed by the building and rebuilding of cities over thousands of years. People lived at Shechem on and off for nearly 4,000 years, from around 4000 BC to 107 BC. Several times in its history, the city was violently destroyed and burned to the ground. We have begun the process to officially integrate the Shechem collection into the museum. As an intern, I was able to take part in the beginning stages. We started with a basic inventory of the more high-interest objects, which comprised essentially all objects except for pottery. This inventory allowed us to see that all the objects listed as being in the collection were accounted for. We then created a list of the 2,370 objects we had inventoried. The next step was to give each object a tentative accession number. Many more boxes of pottery remain, which contain thousands of additional pieces to be inventoried and accessioned. In bringing this project to completion, we will move on to physically labeling and photographing the objects, doing so by groups of object types that are most likely to be published. Most families would have produced their own cloth for clothing and other uses. The spindle whorl was an extremely common object. Every woman would have known the use of a spindle whorl from early in childhood when she learned to spin her own thread. This example is very interesting because it is unfinished, so it shows how the whorl was carved from a piece of bone after its circular shape had been marked out. Almost every house would have had a loom for the production of the family's clothes. This beater would also be a common object, used to beat down the threads when weaving on a loom to create a tight and even weave. Objects to be used in personal hygiene were frequently discovered in Shechem's homes. A pallet like this would have been used to crush up cosmetic pigments, which would be applied to the face as makeup with a spatula, like this one. And tweezers in the 16th century BC existed in much the same shape that they take today and were used for the same purposes. This disc would have had a loop of string strung through it which could be twirled between the hands to wind and unwind, making a buzzing sound as the strings moved against each other. Knuckle bones, or astrogalli, are typically made of the phalanges of goats. Occasionally, copies are made in stone or metal. These bones are commonly found throughout the Near East. They were often used to play games, similar to dice, in that the result depended on how they landed when thrown. They were also sometimes used for divination and in rituals.
The Semitic Museum has an internship program that provides the opportunity to work with the collection on many different levels. The project can range anything from preparing an object for an exhibit to even reconstructing full pieces. Now, there are also multimedia components to the program as well, and museum studies students have the opportunity to conduct thesis research while they're doing their internship. Our docent program invites volunteers from the university and from the community to act as gallery guides and artifact interpreters for the various exhibits. The degree of participation depends upon your availability, your level of experience, and your general interest. Feel free to contact us to learn more about the docent opportunities and internships in here at the museum.